Hey everybody, it's Dawn here. I just really wanted to jump on today to talk a little bit about soul therapy. Some of you may know that I had a ministry called Ali Mayu Ministries for almost 13 years. And in that ministry, I served women who were victims of sexual abuse and really needed healing from that. Last year, I went through quite a change and the beginning of a very deep transformation. And through that process, I came to identify something called soul therapy. So I just want to fill you in a little bit on that process and kind of catch you up to speed as far as what I'm doing now with A New Dawn Soul Therapy. I just wanted you to start to get to know me, tell you a little bit about myself. I really desire to cultivate and create and build a community of soul sisters. Those of us who just are really on a path and a journey of transformation and discovering ourselves and our souls. So last year, shortly after my dad, who raised me, he was technically my stepdad, he passed away. And I traveled home and I did the funeral for him. And it was very difficult for me. In retrospect, I probably should have said, no, this is my time to heal too. I need to be able to do that. But as true to form with Dawn, I took on everything that everybody wanted me to and some that I thought that I needed to do. So I'll get into that maybe another time. But shortly after that, I found myself in a paralyzing panic attack on my floor in my living room. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I couldn't talk, I couldn't move. It was hard to breathe. I could only kind of communicate with my eyes, and the ambulance came. It was very terrifying. And so after they ran some tests, of course, I have a condition, and they thought maybe the fluid was swelling up around my brain again and causing some issues. But it wasn't that. It was basically a psychological break. And then they officially diagnosed me with PTSD and sent me along my way with plenty of prescription drugs, which I never filled or took. So I knew I needed help, and I was very confused. As a therapist, I've been doing this work. I have been a counselor, a therapist, a nonprofit manager. I've worked in mental health, behavioral health, and I have taught sociology and psychology at the college level. And I've been doing this for about 25 years this year. And so I'm finally at the point where I pull from all of those experiences, right? So I've been at this for a little while, and so I've been helping people heal and grow for quite some time, and I couldn't figure out. I'm like, I did my work. I did my work. So I thought, in healing from my history of sexual abuse, but lo and behold, that was only a small part of what I needed to heal from. I had a very traumatic childhood and upbringing, and I really needed to heal from that. So I surrendered to whatever this state was, and I just was like, God, I need you to help me through this. I found a therapist. She was wonderful. I will be shouting her out in case any of you in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area need a therapist. She just really helped me to feel normal because I was feeling so out of place. Like, what kind of therapist are you, and you're breaking down? I had all of these scripts and these stories about who I should be as a professional, as a therapist, as a woman, as an individual, as a wife, a mother, a friend, all of these things. So I found her, and one of the most pivotal things that she taught me was how to sit in my feelings. Yeah, never actually did it. I helped people learn how to do it, but I never actually really applied it to myself. I didn't think I needed to. I thought I was the communication queen and, so in touch with my feelings and everything. But I really never had. I had always either frozen in a more comfortable feeling, which was usually either anger or sadness, which led to like deep depression and varied forms of anxiety. That I didn't really identify as anxiety. I just identified it as this is just the way I am kind of thing. But when I learned to sit through them instead of running away from them, shutting them down, things like that, it was pivotal for me. So I went ahead and I kept going to therapy. And as wonderful as that was, it felt like something was missing, that I was only getting part of the puzzle. So I started doing some more work on my own. I read a ton of books. I'm going to share some of these resources with you guys so you can look into them. I'm hoping maybe even we'll pick one together as a community and we'll go through it, helping one another. Some of the books I read were one of Brene Brown's books, Daring Greatly. I read Iyanla's Get Over It. I read, which was very, very interesting. I read Arlene's, I can't remember her last name, but she did some work on Carefrontation was the name of the book, and it was about doing inner child work. So I compiled all of these. I started just digging into, well, who am I anyway? And lo and behold, this is the process that led me to what I call soul therapy. And I realized through my own intense healing journey, as well as what I've been doing professionally and personally for so many, many years, that this is really who I am. I'm a soul therapist. I'm trained in psychology. I'm trained in pastoral counseling, and I have been trained in like theology, seminary type training, ordained minister training. So I pull from all of these different areas to help myself heal, and I just dug in. And so it's been about 1.5 years now that I've really been doing this intense work. I stopped working for other people and I work for my own. That brings I work for my own. Does that make sense? I work for myself on my own. And so that brings a whole other host of challenges, but the freedom is unmatched. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that. So what is soul therapy, right? Well, I do have to tell you, let me see, I made some notes so I can try to stay on task here a little bit, because those of you who don't know me, I digress like nobody's business. So there's no real definition. I don't have a dictionary.com, a Webster's or Merriam-Webster. Can't remember if they're the same entity or not. There's no real definition that I kind of felt comfortable with. So it evolves over time. The more I learn about it, the more women that I help with this process, we learn more and more. But in a nutshell, the skeleton version of what soul therapy is it is the turning inward. We turn inward to examine ourselves. So psychology calls it things like introspection. The Bible calls it dying to self. And here's the thing. We can't die to ourselves if we don't know ourselves. That's why so many of us in Christianity struggle so much, because we don't know ourselves. You can't die to what you don't know. So that's very important. The self is an important concept that has kind of gotten lost in this wave of false humility in who we have to be as Christians in order to be doing the will of God. So, but we talk about that in soul therapy too. Our souls contain the DNA of who we are. It's our raw, our authentic, our real, and our true self. That's the journey. That's what it's all about, discovering that part of ourselves. Now, we hear a lot of people talking about their truth, and a lot of people are sharing their truth and speaking their truth, and that's great in theory. Ideally, I get it. The issue I have with it is that it comes from an extremely limited perspective, because very few people actually do the soul work that's required to get to know yourself, to make certain parts of yourself come subject to what you want and need it to come subject to. So the whole speaking their truth is so limited that it's actually only partially true or half true at that time, because it takes hard, consistent soul work to get to that level, to really be able to speak your truth, right? It's getting to know, soul therapy is getting to know the good, and there's so much good in us. There's so much good in us. There's so much good in you that is yet to even be revealed, right? So we need to get to know the good, the bad. Yeah, the bad, the dark side of ourself. The dark side of the soul is very important in doing this work. It's very important part of soul therapy. The ugly, it's kind of related to the bad, but it's a little different. and the beautifully unique parts of ourselves. So it's a painfully beautiful journey, I like to call it. And when you get to a certain point in the journey, it's more beauty than pain. And the pain, although it still comes, people. No one is exempt to pain in this life. Suffering is optional. And how we view the pain in our life, how we react to it, how we heal or not heal, it all works together, and it affects us, and either our suffering increases or it decreases, and we can get through the painful moments much, much easier and much, much better. Soul therapy is about taming the ego and the critic. Those of you who have studied anything Psychology 101, you learn about Freud's the id, the super ego, and the ego, and what that means. And while some of that is important to understanding, it goes much deeper than that. So we work to manage and tame the ego and understand the ego. We all have an ego. And that self-critic, that person that's just that self-talk that's critical. We're hard on ourselves. So we need to learn to manage that. All part of soul therapy. It's healing the hurt and the tender, sore places of our heart. Some of us have been through a lot. Most of us have been through a lot. And my pain doesn't have to match your pain, and your pain doesn't have to match mine. The experience doesn't have to be the same. It can be similar. I can reach somewhere in my life box and come up with and be able to identify a feeling that very closely matches yours. And from that space, in that place, that's where I can help, and I can walk alongside of you in this journey. And we walk alongside of each other. My clients are amazing. Yesterday we had all of my clients. I had 4 of them yesterday. It's one of my heavier days. And every single one of my ladies had a breakthrough, and it just warmed my heart. It warmed my soul so much. So when we start to heal those hurt and sore places, we can love and we can live abundantly. And those of us who follow Jesus and believe in Jesus Christ, that is what it's about. He came so that we can live more abundantly. Abundantly, this life, here and now, right? Here and now, this is what it's about. So I am going to be in our space, A New Dawn Soul Therapy, every Thursday, doing something like this. Sometimes I may go live. I really like to be led. I like to be in the flow of the Holy Spirit. I like to be in the flow of just of life. And so I'm not going to say I'm going to be on here 7 o'clock because knowing me, it won't work. But I will commit to sharing a video like this, sometimes live, sometimes not. I'll do that every Thursday. And so just keep an eye out. There's just some really amazing things that I'm ready to do. I have a second edition of Be Encouraged, part 2. And part 1 I released in 2011, and then I redid it in 2012. And it's just a bunch of stories of how I kind of see the world, how I relate to God, beauty, the universe, everything around us. I share some of those, and I've gotten a lot of really good feedback on the Be Encouraged series. So that's going to be coming out very, very soon. I'm also working on a membership space. It's like a soul space. I want us to be able to come together, but I don't want the rigmarole that is associated with like a Facebook only group. I'll probably have some supplemental private Facebook things, but I'm not interested in trolls. I'm not interested in people who are not open to the things that God has given me to share. So I want to have a little bit more quality control over our environment. So I'll be doing that. That'll be coming up soon. And when I say soon, I mean like within the next 30 days. It's so many things that we're working on. And so I just invite you to join me in building this soul space. This space where we can be together with common interests and just really love on each other and walk with one another through these journeys. My job is to hold space with you. So all of my clients actually do not live near me, and most of my clients I do virtually online on one-on-one. I really want to be more available to people because the one-on-one is very of course, it's just one of me. So I want to be able to share and help other women grow and develop so that we can keep this domino effect going. So yeah, you'll hear a whole lot more from me. So I just want to thank you for taking the time and listening to this video. Let me know what some of your thoughts and desires are. Is this a space that you might be interested in? What questions do you have? I hope I did a good job in relaying to you from my heart what I believe soul therapy is, and I really just want to share that with you. So thank you guys. Love you guys. I hope you have a great day, a great evening, whenever you choose to watch this video. Let's just join the conversation together. All right? And let's do some soul therapy together. All right. Love y'all. Bye.